Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another book review night. Today we will be doing another Hamlet review, and we will be reviewing The Five Trials, which is the first book in the Tsun-tsun Zim Zum series. That's a horrible long mouthful, but I hope I pronounced it right. So, The Five Trials. It's a pretty good book. The author is Mike Truk. I used to think it was Turk, but no, it's Truk, Truk, hopefully. Yeah, it's self-published on Amazon. The genres here are fantasy. You can almost call it epic fantasy. And I guess there is an element of sword and sorcery and heroic fantasy. You can just lump all of those together, so no worries. Now, the premise here is basically that the universe is in horrible danger. A hero must be found, and a freak alien crashing on Earth accident gets Noah, our main character, stuck as that hero. Now he has to gather a team of warrior women and pass 5 trials to prepare for his destiny. And it's actually quite a good book, I'll be honest. I picked this up for free, as well as book 2 and 3. Over the winter, or over December at the end of the last year, Mike Truk and a bunch of other authors were giving out a bunch of their books for free. I scooped these 3 up, which is a great deal. I really think that it was honestly a really good bargain, and Mike Truk was really generous with it. So yeah, I also read this digitally. I don't know that he has physical copies available, but if he did, I would probably want to buy one of them at some point. Now, let's just jump into it. The plotline here is pretty good. I quite enjoyed it. The structure is pretty nice. It starts like in a normal setting, and then the aliens crash. Very like Green Lantern like you know the really crappy one from that was with Ryan Reynolds, where like the alien guy crashes onto someplace. Ryan Reynolds goes, and then like he gets basically like the ring finds him, kind of like that, but this time it's a sword, and the alien crashes next to the main character. And from there, they get transported into a new world after a small fight with this big monster. We get the usual isekai world introduction stuff. Then he must gather a team to go on this epic quest to save the universe. And then from there, basically it turns into a kind of like hunt for the team member, then go on an adventure, then hunt for the next team member, then go on an adventure. And it actually ends up being quite fun. There's even a bit of sprinkling in there of political machinations that I always enjoy, because I don't really like politics in real life, but fantasy politics and the way that people can just be so crappy is very interesting to see. I mean, like, that's kind of weird, but like, I just enjoy reading about how horrible people justify their horribleness to each other and themselves, and like, it's all for the greater good, but it's actually just to benefit them. And it's very interesting. But yeah, so the plotline is great. I did enjoy it a lot. It did end up being a little bit repetitive, because it was basically the same scene where they like start their adventure after they gather the team member for like 3/4 of the book basically, but none of the actual adventures were all that similar. Each one was basically tailor-made to the newest member of the group, and actually played up on some of the problems that the people had as individuals. And so it was very cool and interesting, and the whole mechanic of gathering 5 team members before you go on an adventure actually works really nicely as a harem aspect, because it helps build the harem quickly and effectively without making it seem like everyone's just jumping into the main character's bed, even though he doesn't really deserve it because he's just a loser. So good stuff there. Yeah, nothing much to say about that. It was really solid, really enjoyable. I actually quite liked almost everything about this book, except for some of the problems that I encountered with the characterization of the main characters. So let's just jump into it. Now, the characters here are generally very good. I like all of the female cast. They're all wonderful. Well, Emma's a little bit iffy sometimes, but we'll talk about it when we talk about it. So, really, the problem here is Noah, the main character. He's pretty flip-floppy. Like, he flip-flops between being, like, Conan the Barbarian style, like, epic, manly, I'm all for myself and my people, and I don't care what anyone says. He flips between that and being, like, a really, like, loser, lame-o kind of like, oh my god, I don't want to fight anyone, I'm a pacifist, I don't want to engage in any conflict kind of thing. And that flip-floppiness was kind of, honestly, it was frankly kind of annoying, because it was like inconsistent as hell. Like literally in the same page, which in my phone is only about 50 or just 60 words, he would have a paragraph where he's like being a big, strong individual man, and then the bottom half is like him wanting to avoid conflict, and I just did not enjoy that. It was really jarring. The other thing is that he pissed himself like 4 times, like, or no, actually, I think it was 3, because of being afraid. The first time it was understandable, and it's actually pretty fair. Like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna get scared and maybe you'll like piss yourself, and that's okay. It's something that, you know, no one really talks about because it's kind of embarrassing, but I can totally see it happening, especially in the types of situations that all of these characters get into. However, the second time, it wasn't as good, because it's like, dude, come on, you should like know that this is gonna happen. Why are you gonna react like that? Especially because he tried to make it into a joke, and then I think he did it one more time afterwards, and at that point I was like, bruh, what is going on? This is not enjoyable. I do not want to read this, because like how can he be such a like manly, I'm gonna be the hero and save the world 1 minute, then piss himself the next? It just didn't really make sense. It kind of has to do with that flip-floppiness that I was talking about earlier anyways. So yeah, he was just inconsistent, and that's really the only problem. If that inconsistency got removed and the progression from lame-o loser basic guy to like strong individual man that can deal with conflict as it comes was written in a way that actually felt like linearly occurring instead of like flip-flopping all the time, it would have been much better. But it's only one issue, so I don't really find it all that bad. Now, the female characters, like I said, are all pretty interesting, and they're all consistent, so big kudos for that. Now, Emma is the first female character we meet, and she is like the childhood friend. She's initially kind of a horrible person, and she kind of like takes advantage of the fact that Noah cares for her a lot in order to kind of like do what she wants to do. And then eventually she's like, damn, that's wrong. I should really get over myself and then help him on his quest now that we're all in this shitty situation together. And I actually quite like that. I think the growth that she had as a person was really great. However, Noah liking her as much as he did, knowing that she was just like basically using him, was kind of annoying, mostly because it's definitely something that would happen in real life. And it just sucks that, you know, so many guys can fall into that trap. So whatever, it's fine. The second character that we get is Valeria, who is essentially Red Sonja, but blonde, and I love her. I love the warrior barbarian female character thing. It's great. I like it so much. Red Sonja is one of my favorite designed characters ever. Although I haven't actually read much about her, I really enjoy how she looks and the way that the lore around her seems to be written, because I have like read some stuff about her. It's just not really the mainline comics. But I quite like her as a character, and Valeria is great as a character as well. I quite like her. She's very clear-headed. She's very conscious of battle, and she actually works as Noah's first harem member and as Noah's like rock, I guess. I quite like her a lot. Now, the third female character is Imogen. Imogen. I don't know how to say that name. Yeah, I really enjoy her as a character. She's like the hot weirdo, but she's wonderful. She has like this dark aura about her. She is wearing a maid outfit, but in her culture, because she's not from Earth, maid outfits are actually battle garb, and that's great. That's super awesome. If you sign up for Mike Truk's newsletter, you actually get a art book thing that he has where it tells you where the inspiration for these characters came from. And I think it's a really interesting read to look at where Imogen came from. And I quite like that a lot. I really like her character. Her and Valeria are probably my favorites. Everyone else is cool, but they're not really that great just yet. So the next one is Nivea, who is the damaged older character, kind of. And she has like really, really crazy stuff going for her. And it's very interesting how it all kind of develops. I really liked her as a character as well. Not as much as Valeria or Imogen, but she was very interesting. I want to learn more about her and hopefully see her grow from such a jaded character into a more normal person as, you know, stuff occurs, right? So yeah, now the last character is Brio, and she's the tsundere slash brat's character. She's like an evil she's basically an evil princess if we're looking at it from Noah's perspective. She's like this crazy, awesome warrior, and she makes fun of Noah at any given opportunity. But eventually we see that maybe she doesn't hate him. She's just like upset that she's the daughter of this guy and she doesn't get any recognition, which, spoilers, I guess. Not really. You guys get to learn about it. It's cool. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, overall, good characters. Noah could have been more consistent, but other than that, pretty fair stuff. Not going to complain too much about it. Now, world building wise, very, very good. It's actually not world building heavy. Like, you don't ever feel like you're getting pummeled with a bunch of terms and stuff, because the way that all of that stuff is told to you is like, yeah, this is like this old school like stuff that everyone knows, and you just kind of like absorb it as it goes. And it actually doesn't really end up mattering all that much. You basically only need to know like 3 or 4 terms, and every other term that's mentioned is only there to add atmosphere. Or, well, it's there to let you know where things are going to go, but in the context of the story of the first volume or the first book, it's only like window dressing so that you know, hey, there's more stuff out there, but you're not dealing with it right now. And I quite like that. I think it's very well done. I enjoyed it because for those people that are really detail oriented, they can see all of those things and pick up on them and then enjoy as they develop in the later books. But anyone that doesn't really enjoy the world building can just kind of gloss over it and just deal with the characters, which are, you know, usually the most important part in harem lit books, in my opinion, since it is male-oriented romance at the end of the day. So that's pretty cool. Quite enjoyed it. Really nice. I like how everything feels like deep and old, but you don't actually get bombarded with a lot of terminology. So good stuff there. Now, the fan service, pretty good. There's one scene that kind of bothered me because it was like pretty rapey. Like, it was consensual, but like it was really close to not being, and that kind of like concerned me a little bit. So, you know, if you're not interested in that, maybe this is not for you. However, in the context of the book, it actually ends up being like a character growth moment, and it is like meaningful to the characters in it. So I guess there's a reason, and it doesn't actually end up being rape, so no worries there. It's just like it did feel a little bit close to it. And there's also one scene where like it's after Noah pissed himself, and there was never a like, hey, let me clean up before the sex scene, and it was just like, I don't know, man, that's kind of weird. That's not really my cup of tea, you know what I mean? But it's fine. I think it was actually, I think it was probably during a rewrite session. It just kind of got glossed over and no one really picked up on it. So whatever, it doesn't really bother me, but it was a little bit weird, right? So yeah, now that's it for the book review. I rate this a 4 out of 5. It was really solid. It was really enjoyable too, and I quite liked it. I actually wasn't even going to read this book until later. I was actually going to read my boy TJ Reynolds or / Atlas Kane, because I have a few books by him that I need to get caught up on. But, you know, I was running errands one day, and I was like, okay, I'm just browsing through my Kindle library. What do I read? Clicked on this, started reading it, and man, it actually captured my attention for a long time, and I ended up reading most of it within the same day. So I didn't mean to read it, but I really enjoyed it, so I ended up reading it quite fast. So I think that deserves a 4 out of 5. It didn't actually blow my socks off in any way, so it doesn't get that 5 out of 5, but it was a pretty solid title. So yeah, similar titles though, or actually, do I recommend this? Yes, I think this is a very good read. Besides that characterization issue with Noah, everything else is solid work. You can tell that Mike Truk really took his time with this story and the world, and I quite respect that, so good stuff there. Similar titles, though, I'm not really sure. I think conceptually, since this is kind of like an isekai type of story, Dragon Slayer by Michael Scott Earl would probably be pretty similar. Because there is that whole thing of like, okay, I'm on an adventure to save the world, and along the way, I pick up companions to go with me. So in that sense, they are pretty similar, but the mechanics through which they get their partners is quite different. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's basically it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what other books I should read. I know Mike Truk has a couple series, so besides this one, which one is good? Let me know. Thank you guys very much for watching once again, and see you guys later.